I need. Right.
All praises, all praises. First and foremost, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Ba Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. That's who the world intimately calls Jesus Christ. I'm Debaka Ward. Yo.
Why I keep doing that?
No, we can hear you. You good, bro?
I know it's like it keep going. It's repeating though. You see how? I don't know. You know. I don't know nothing about this. All right, come on, man. I guess. Come on.
Go ahead, bro.
All right. That's repeating what I'm saying. Yeah, just turn it down here. Just turn it right there. But then I can hear the podcast.
You can't hear me?
I can hear you, but it keep echoing. Like everything I'm saying, it'll say it again 2 seconds later.
You got to turn the YouTube off. It's the YouTube.
Okay, so all right. All right. All right, what about now?
Do you hear an echo?
Let me see. Yeah, I still hear it. So it's you got to take me off the YouTube off here.
Oh yeah, take the YouTube off the computer.
My wife gonna hook me up. You know, I don't know nothing about this crap, bro.
It's all good. Y'all bear with us.
We're good now.
If you turn the YouTube on, we should be good.
Good.
All right, bet.
You still hear an echo?
Nope. We good.
All right, go ahead. You good?
All right. You know, we've been gone a couple weeks. What, 2-3 weeks now?
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to deal with something that I was, you know me, I'm a channel surfer. I was searching a couple of Hebrew Israelite channels, and I saw a message that was kind of interesting that you know, we've talked about before, but I don't know if we've done a lesson on it. And it was about salvation and the destruction and the fall of our enemies being synonymous with one another, right? So first I wanted to go to Wisdom of Solomon 18:7, right? And it says, so of thy people was accepted both the salvation of the righteous and destruction of the enemies. So, you know, whether that be literal destruction or subjugation and captivity, being brought to a lower estate, which, you know, honestly, that would come after defeat, and being destroyed, all these things are synonymous with our salvation. One can't happen without the other. We can't receive salvation without being saved out of the hand of our enemy. And that's the gospel. You know, that's what we teach, you know, week in and week out, that I think sometimes people don't get. Salvation can't be applicable to everybody because everybody's not in the hands of their enemy, right?
Right.
So again, our return from exile will coincide with the fall of our enemies, right? It's not about hate. It's not about, you know, I've said week after week, we're not commanded to hate anybody. So when we bring these lessons out, it's not because, oh, I just hate every other nation that ain't Israel. I just love Israel, right? But at the same time, it's certain things that the Bible say that, like I say every week, it says what it says, right? So let me go to let me see where I want to start at. Let's go to Isaiah 14:1 in the GNT, right? And it reads, the Lord will once again be merciful to his people Israel and choose them as his own. He will let them live in their own land again, and foreigners will come and live there with them. Many nations will help the people of Israel return to the land which the Lord gave them, and there the nations will serve Israel as slaves. Those who once captured Israel will now be captured by Israel, and the people of Israel will rule over those who had once oppressed them. Verse 3, right? But let's stop this just for a second, because once again, right, when you talk about a just God, right, when you talk about eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, right, a just God is going to make sure that the same things that happen to you will happen to the people who did those things. You better get out the way. You gotta make sure that the same things happen to the people who did those things to you, right? That's just what a just God would do, right? So verse 3 says, The Lord will give the people of Israel relief from their pain and suffering and from the hard work they were forced to do. When he does this, they are to mock the king of Babylon and say, the cruel king has fallen. He will never oppress anyone again. So even when you look at that, right, people get mad sometimes when they see Israelites on the street, and you make a mockery of certain things or certain people or certain nations, whatever it is. But the Bible literally says that this is exactly what we're going to do when we come out of our captivity, when we come out of our exile, when we receive our salvation, which is going to be synonymous with their downfall. Verse 4 literally says, when he does this, they are to mock the king of Babylon and say, the cruel king has fallen. He will never oppress anyone again. Right? So that's something we basically commanded to do. Right? At a certain point, that's exactly what's going to happen. So you can get mad if you see brothers doing it on the street all you want. And that's not necessarily my style of teaching, but I understand when brothers do it, why they're even doing it, right? Verse 5. It said, the Lord has ended the power of the evil rulers who angrily oppressed the peoples and never stopped persecuting the nations they had conquered. Well, we know we've been conquered by pretty much every nation that exists. And it says right here, the Most High will end the rulership of those evil rulers who angrily oppress his people and never stop persecuting them, right? Verse 7. Now at last the whole world enjoys rest and peace, and everyone sings for joy. So even that, when you look at that, we teach that as well. And I think sometimes not enough that after that just God that we speak about puts the curses on the other nation like they were on us, puts the treatment that was on us and reverses it and puts it on them. Then at a certain point, after 1,000 years of that, the whole world will be at rest and peace, right? We can't ignore that part because that part is vital. And again, I think it's why, if other nations understood that you won't receive that joy and that peace and the whole world being at peace and being at one in that sense, that won't happen until we are in rulership. So you really should be championing our rulership. You should be hastening the day that we are in rulership and we are co-heirs with Yahushua of this whole world. Right? Verse 8, I'm gonna keep going on this because it gets a little more interesting, right? The cypress trees and the cedars of Lebanon rejoice over the fallen king because there is no one to cut them down now that he is gone. It's telling you right now, even the earth, even the flowers, even the trees, everything is going to rejoice when that rulership changes hands. Because right now, it's all poison because of the rulership that's in charge of this whole earth right now. Right? It says the world of the dead. Matter of fact, it says the world, verse 9, it says the world of the dead is getting ready to welcome the king of Babylon, right? So you can't get no clearer than that, right? The world of the dead is getting ready to welcome the king of Babylon. The ghosts of those who were powerful on earth are stirring about. The ghosts of kings are rising from their thrones. They all call out to him, now you are as weak as we are. You are one of us. You used to be honored with music of harps, but now here you are in the world of the dead. And it's funny too, I was watching an old inauguration of Barack, of Obama. And it's funny, that's literally what happens to the rulers of this earth, the kings, the queens, the princes, the governors, the presidents. When they are elected or when their time comes to rule, they are ushered in with parades and music. And it literally says, this is what he said. He said, the ghosts of the kings are rising from their thrones. They all call out to him, now you are as weak as we are. You are one of us. You used to be honored with music of harps, but now here you are in the world of the dead. You lie on a bed of maggots and are covered with a blanket of worms. All right. So again, that whole thing is just, it's self-explanatory. That's why I like it in the G&T. There ain't much to break down. But the gist of it is that all these things that will happen when we are receiving our salvation, when our salvation is bestowed upon us, it has to coincide with these other things happening to the people who ruled over us, right? Their downfall is synonymous with the salvation that we're going to receive. One cannot happen without the other. And it's like, I was talking to my wife earlier. It's like anything else. If a man kidnaps a woman, he don't just wake up one day and decide to give her back. Something has to happen for that man's power over that woman to be relinquished. Whether the cops find them or, somebody she loves finds her, whatever it is, something has to happen for that power to change hands, right?
Yeah, I got a precept.
Good.
This is Sirach 10 and 8, but I'm gonna read it in a GNT, right? It says,
Mm-hmm.
injustice, ignorance, and wealth cause nations to fall from power, and others then rise to take their place.
Right. Nice. Beautiful. Right. I mean, it's simple as that. Like, you know, especially when you're talking about wicked rulership, right? They're not going to wake up one day and say, damn, I feel bad for doing these people how I've done them. If that was the case, that would have happened long before now. That's
Yeah.
not going to happen. There has to be things that force that change. There has to be things that force that power to change hands, that force those rulers to relinquish that power. So that's all we're talking about when we're talking about our salvation being synonymous with their downfall, right? Um, Let me go some more. I got Isaiah 43 and 4, and it reads, since thou was precious in my sight, thou hast been honorable, and I have loved thee. Therefore will I give men for thee and people for thy life. So it's telling you right there, we brought this out a couple weeks ago about how the Bible says basically a ransom has been paid for us. And same thing is going to happen when this power really changes hands. He says, the Most High said, I'm willing to give other people's lives, other nations' lives, other nations' rulership in trade for you, right?
Right.
As a ransom for you to get back to your land, to get to your rulership, to get to your rightful position. I'm willing to give other people and other nations' lives for you. That's what the Most High said to his chosen people. You can like it or not. Again, it's in the Bible. It say what it say, right? Um, it says, I have loved thee, therefore will I give men for thee and people for thy life. Verse 5 says, fear not, for I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, give up, and to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth, even everyone that is called by my name. For I have created him for my glory. I have formed him. Yea, I have made him. So, like Isaiah 43 and 7 says, right? I mean, all this, all this is about those people who are called by his name, right? All this is about those people who were created for his glory, who were predestinated for his glory, right? So, we got to ask ourselves, because I think we get into this so much where people want to apply the things that are really applied and only applicable to Israel to the whole world. So let's get into who those people are, who was predestinated for his glory, right? Um, Let me start with Romans 8 and 30, right? It says, moreover, whom he did predestinate, them he also called. And whom he called, them he also justified. And whom he justified, them he also glorified. So these same people he called and chose, right, are the people he created for his glory, right? Those people who he glorified, right? And also, in Isaiah 43 and 7, so again, who are these people he called, chose, justified, and glorified? Um, let's make it even more clear, right? Whose people he called, who are the people he called, chose, justified, and who are the people whose salvation is synonymous with the fall and destruction of their enemies, right? And this is important again because I think too many times when you read the Bible, the beef we end up having with so many people is that you try to make something that's so, you know, um, um, one-sided in a sense, right? It's only dedicated to this one people. We try to we go against people with these debates who you want to make it for everybody, but again, the Bible just doesn't say that. He can't choose Israel and choose everybody. That would mean Israel's not chosen. Chosen is just like holy. It's got to be set apart, right? You can't set something apart while setting it in the midst of everything else, right? Um, so let's go to Isaiah 45 and 4, right? It says, Jacob, my servants, for Jacob, my servant's sake, and Israel, mine elect, I have even called thee. By thy name, I have surnamed thee, though thou hast not known me. So Israel, once again, is the people got called to God's glory, right? And it says right here, he called thee, right? But then this is good too, right? I was looking at this other day, and I found this by mistake, right? Second Peter 1 and 3, because I was looking for something else, and I found this verse, and I think it sums that up even better, right? This is Second Peter 1 and 3, and it says, according as his divine power hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness, through the knowledge of him that called us to glory and virtue. Like we sit here trying to explain who the people who were glorified, who were called, who were justified are. And in one verse, it says both things. It said, I'll read it again. It says, according as his divine power hath given unto us all things that pertain unto life and godliness through the knowledge of him that called us to glory and virtue. Right? I'll keep going. It says, whereby are given unto us exceeding great and precious promises. Right? So these same people who were called to glory, right, were given precious promises. We've gone through these verses so many times. When you get to Romans 9, and it tells you who the promises are for. These are the same precious promises that's spoken about right here in 2 Peter. Right. So let's just go to Romans 9 real quick, and I'll start at. Let me just start at verse 3 to get a little closer to the point. It says, "For I could wish that myself were accursed from Christ for my brethren, my kinsmen, according to the flesh." So again, we talked about that word brethren a few weeks ago, and how, yes, we understand that brethren can be used, when you're just talking about, a group of like-minded brothers or some brothers who are into the same things. These my brothers. I get it, right? These are my brethren. I get it. But we sometimes look past the fact that there is a literal definition of brethren, and it means, like he said, people who are his kinsmen, people who are of his actual lineage, people who are his people according to the flesh, right? Verse 4 says, who are Israelites, right? To whom pertaineth the adoption and the glory. We just talked about who's the people that's glorified, right? And the covenants, right? The old and the new, right? And the giving of the law and the service of God and the promises. So those precious promises talked about in 2 Peter 1 and 4, according to Romans chapter 9, belong to these same people. They pertain to the Israelites, right? Which means the same people whose salvation is synonymous with the fall and destruction of their enemies, right, are the same people who were called, those who were called to glorify God, the same people who those precious promises belong to, who are the same people who were predestined or predestinated and chosen aforetime, right? That's why I want to say the last lesson we taught when we talked about, us not having as much of a say in all this as we want to. If you was predestinated for this, even let's just say you was somebody who didn't want to believe, right? If you was predestinated for this, there will come a point in your life when the Most High is going to put it on you and you will believe. Or the other way around. Let's say you did want to believe, but you weren't predestinated for this. There will come a time in your life when this will just stop making sense to you. That's why we talk about all the time the brothers who leave this and kind of end up bug outs, because maybe from the jump they weren't predestinated to sit in this lot, right? So these people who were predestinated and chosen aforetime, I want to go to Jeremiah 30 and 20, right? It says, their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. So these same people who were predestinated, who were called and called to glorify God, who were justified, who the precious promises belong to, whose salvation is synonymous with the downfall of their enemy, it says right here loud and clear, their children also shall be as aforetime, and their congregation shall be established before me, and I will punish all that oppress them. So again, our God is a just God, and the things we went through, we didn't go through those things for nothing, and there will be recompense, right? We ain't got to dwell on it all the time. And I think sometimes people seem to think that that's all we do is we run around and we just dwell on those points. No, but just like everything else in the Bible is important, this is important that it's taught as well. This is important that our people understand that all your pain and suffering ain't for nothing. That all the things that you go through, there will be recompense for it. It will be avenged, right? And that's just it is what it is, right? Right? It says, where's it? Right. So again, right? Our God defending us against those who oppress us. Number one, it's nothing new. This is one of my favorite verses we bring out at camp. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just get it to matter of fact. But again, our God defending us against those who oppress us, it's nothing new. And the other nations even understood this aforetime. They understood this in antiquity, that when you mess with these people and they good with their God is going to do some amazing things to you. So you'd be best to leave them alone if they good with their God, right? This is Judith 5 and 20. And it says, now therefore, my Lord and governor, if there be any error against this people, and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up, and we shall overcome them. Right? So it's telling you right there, if they got an issue with their God, and there's another translation that says, even if it's unknowingly, right? Which is why we understand why my wife was looking at something the other day trying to buy some wine, and she came across this chart that showed um all the wine. I ain't gonna say all, but I want to say about 90% of the wines that are the majority of them are sold in the black community, all got pork in them. If you go to the Yellowtail, if you go to Sutter Home, if you go, so these are things where we may not have been purposely, consuming pork, right? But that's why that, like I said, you read this in another translation, it says even if unknowingly they going against their God, right? This is why the other nations, this is how we understand they are crafty in how they consult against us, right? They are crafty in the things that they do to make us and to keep us going off. Even if we have every desire to keep God's law, it's always something you find out at some point, like, damn, I didn't know this had that in it, or damn, I ain't know, you know what I'm saying? Even when you look at, sports, it wasn't until a few years ago that the football stopped being pigskin, right? But we commanded to not even touch the dead carcass of a pig, which means we playing football, touching the dead carcass of a pig, but not knowingly, right? So again, let me finish that out, right? It says, if there be any error against his people and they sin against their God, let us consider that this shall be their ruin, and let us go up and we shall overcome them. Verse 21, it says, but if there be no iniquity in their nation, let my Lord now pass by, lest their Lord defend them and their God before them, and we become a reproach before all the world. So like I said, it's not something that we weren't the only ones who understood that our God had our back if we just did what we were supposed to do. The other nations understood that as well. We lost sight of that over time, but there was a point in time we understood that fully, right? And so did the other nations. That's why he's warning his Lord, like, listen, man, if they good with him, we need to stay far from them, because the things that he's known to do, the things that the God of Israel is known to do in defense of his people are, amazing things that you don't want to have no piece of, right? So let me see. And what's funny? These couple verses show a couple things, right? Even the other nations knew that the Most High God, the God of Israel, was not everyone's God. That's why they refer to him as their God. Now is a conversation that we have in this day and time where we try to explain to people that the Most High God is not everyone's God. But in antiquity, once again, these weren't arguable points. They understood that the God of Israel was the God of Israel, was the Israelites and the Jews' God. It wasn't everybody's God. It wasn't an argument about this. This was like a plain as day fact, right? But now we have to convince people, because through time things have been, jaded and changed around and switched around, and meanings of words and words in general. So now we have to explain this to people. But in antiquity, this was no kind of an argument, or a point of contention. They understood the God of Israel was the Israelites' God, and they had nothing to do with nobody else. And you better leave them alone if they right with their God, because hey, he's capable of some terrible things, right? So again, this verse proved that, number one, the Most High God, the God of Israel, was not everyone's God. But second, it also shows that God's grace and mercy are what? They are conditional. Which goes against what the Christians teach, right? If they was unconditional, then yes, you could do whatever, and your God's still going to defend you. But if it's conditional, that means that according to what God expects of you, that's what you have to do to get his defense, to get his help, to be able to lean on the Most High. If you're not doing those things, then you won't, like he said, if they're not doing those things, then let's come against them and come against them now. Because their God gonna put them in our hands. But so again, it just proves that God's mercy, God's grace is not unconditional. It's actually very conditional. And if we don't do those things that he gives us and lists as conditions, right, his instructions, then we can't expect to receive that mercy and grace. All right. Let me see. It was something else I wanted to go to, right? All right. So let me just keep going on that just for a second, right? Because verse 21, right? Well, no, I touched on it. All right. So right. So again, it also proves that, like I just said, though, like when we are in sin, the Lord allows these wicked people to rule over us. So him defending us is him defeating them, right? Which is why our salvation is synonymous with their fall and their destruction,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because when we're doing what we're supposed to do, he doesn't let them walk on us, right? When we're not doing what we're supposed to do, then he allows these things to happen to us. He allows us to fall in their hands, right? And a lot of times, it's just like the Bible said, he chasteneth him who he receiveth, right? Because we are his children, he lets these things happen. But he doesn't do it to let us come to a full end. He does it so that we learn our lesson. And us learning our lesson means he doesn't have to bring us to a full end like he's going to bring certain other nations when the time comes to a full end, right? Um, so let me go to Isaiah 49:7, right? It says, the Lord, the Redeemer and Holy One of Israel, says to the one who is despised and rejected by the nations, to the one who is the servant of rulers, kings will stand at attention when you pass by. Princes will also bow low because of the Lord, the faithful one, the Holy One of Israel who has chosen you. When you look at the same verse in the G&T, though, right? This is what it says. It says, this will happen because the Lord has chosen his servant, the holy God of Israel keeps his promises, right? So this is why the Bible is so incredible, because it's like a puzzle that never doesn't fit if you understand what's really happening, right? Those same people who he just said the promises go to, it just says what? In the same verse in another translation, it says, the Lord has chosen his servant, the holy God of Israel keeps his promises. We just went into who those precious promises that Second Peter talks about belong to. It belongs to the same people who was the called, who was the chosen, who was the justified, who was the glorified. These are the same people who those precious promises belong to. And it says right here, the holy God of Israel keeps his promises, right? So let's keep going, all right?
Uh,
Go ahead.
I had a couple precepts.
I'm not going, my bad.
No, it's all good. Just to let me back on the point he was trying to say, like these other nations, they're making what we go through a lot worse than what the Most High actually originally intended for us, right? So this is Zechariah chapter 1. I'm gonna start at verse 14. So the angel that communed with me said unto me, cry thou, saying, thus said the Lord of hosts, I am jealous for Jerusalem and for Zion with a great jealousy.
Right.
And I am very sore displeased with the heathen that are at ease. For, for I was but a little displeased, and they helped further the affliction.
Right. It took us to the next level.
Yeah, they took it to the next level.
It took us to the next level. And it's funny too, because it's just like, when your kid goes to school and you give the teachers or the principal, you give them the right to punish your child. But when they put their hands on your child, you done took it to the next level. Now you're going to see me really act a fool in here. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's the same thing. The Most High gave you the right to inflict some punishment on us, but you just took it to the next level. Now you got to answer for that, right? One of our favorites right here, Isaiah 49:23, and it says, and kings shall be thy nursing fathers, and their queens thy nursing mothers. They shall bow down to thee with their face toward the earth, and lick up the dust off thy feet, of thy feet. And thou shalt know that I am the Lord, for they shall not be ashamed that wait for me. Verse 24, shall the prey be taken from the mighty, or the lawful captive delivered? But thus saith the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contendeth with thee, and I will save thy children. Right? So even if you look at the language right there, he's letting you know that, one thing about these rulers and these wicked governments and these wicked rulerships is that their pride makes them believe that nobody can pry us out of their hands, right? Otherwise, they would have been smart enough to let us go way before now, right? But the Most High says right here, he says, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contendeth with thee, and I will save thy children. So again, like I said, once we get right, this is why we teach. People always like, y'all always talk about the law, because like I said, every time we've taught, it all comes back to the law. This don't happen, right? We have no hopes of these happening without us turning from sin, right? Repenting and coming back to our laws, statutes, and commandments, right? Because these things are our ethnicity, our heritage, our traditions, our customs, our ideologies, our theologies. They belong to us. And what we're looking for the Most High to do will not happen without us doing these things, right?
I got a precept.
Good, bet.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, and I'm gonna start at verse 1. And
Mm-hmm.
it shall come to pass when all these things are come upon thee, the blessing and the curse which I have set before thee, and thou shalt call them to mind among all the nations, whither the Lord thy God hath driven thee, and shall return unto the Lord thy God, and obey his voice according to all that he commanded thee this day, thou and thy children. So not just you, but also your children, with all thy heart and with all thy soul, that then the Lord thy God will turn away thy captivity and will have compassion upon thee, and will return and gather thee from all the nations whither the Lord thy God has scattered thee. So repentance is synonymous with our salvation.
You can't have one without the other, right? Repentance is synonymous with our salvation. Our salvation is synonymous with their fall. It just we all can't. Let's say that there's one mountain, right? And we all can't sit at the top of that mountain together. It just can't happen, right? But again, like you just said, even thy children, and it says it right here again. I'll read it again. It says, but thus saith the Lord, even the captives of the mighty shall be taken away, and the prey of the terrible shall be delivered. For I will contend with him that contended with thee, and I will save thy children. Right. So, like he said, we're supposed to teach our children these things too. Like, you know, of course, our salvation is important, but any of us who have kids, we understand it. To us, their salvation is even more important than ours. And that can't happen if we're not teaching them that this is the most important thing they're gonna ever do. You know what I mean? This is the most important decision they're gonna ever do is to truly serve the Lord, and not in the Christian sense of of the word. I'm sorry. It's just because they believe that you don't have to do nothing.
Yeah.
And we always liken this relationship between the Most High and us to us and our kids. There ain't nothing I'm giving my kid that I'm not telling my kid that you got to do this and do that, and you get this, and then you don't do this and do that, and you still get this. It don't work like that. At least not in my house, and I know most people don't. You know what I mean? If I tell you this, what you got to do to get this, that's what you got to do to get this, and you're not getting this until you've done A, B, and C. Like it's simple as that, right? Um, Verse 26, though, right? Keep going. It says, and I will feed them that oppress thee with their own flesh, and they shall be drunken with their own blood, as with sweet wine, and all flesh shall know that I, the Lord, am thy Savior and thy Redeemer, the mighty one of Jacob. So again, if this belongs to everybody, why does he say so many times, I'm your God, I'm your Savior, I'm your Redeemer, right? I am the mighty one of the world. No, I'm the mighty one of Jacob, right? The world of Jacob. That's it, right? Um, and again, I mean, like when you see, again, I started this off by saying a just God is going to be about vengeance, is going to be about repayment, right? Whatever, same thing, the things that we've done have gotten us paid back from our God for disobeying him. The same thing will happen to everybody else. And how is that unfair? That's actually only fair. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's what an eye for an eye means. Tooth for a tooth means. What you do will get done back to you. And that goes the same with how he judges nations, right? What
Yeah.
we do as a go ahead.
No, I got a precept.
Yeah.
This is First Chronicles chapter 17. I'm gonna start at verse 21. And what one nation in the earth is like thy people Israel,
Yeah.
whom God went to redeem to be his own people, to make thee a name of greatness and terribleness, by driving out nations from before thy people, whom thou hast redeemed out of Egypt. For thy people Israel didst thou make thy own people forever, and thou, Lord, becamest they God. So right there it's telling you he does terrible things for us, right?
Exactly. And that's the thing about it. Like, and that's the good thing too. I love about honestly doing this with you, because sometimes you hit a precept and I'm thinking of something right there anyway, and you like you hit it right on the head. But I mean that's what this is all about, man. We can't receive that salvation that's synonymous with their downfall as long as we're doing the things that got us up under their foot in the first place.
Yeah.
It just don't work like that. That would mean the Most High is a hypocrite himself to say, hey, if you do this, this is gonna happen to you, and then say, well, I'm gonna let you out of this, whether you did what I told you to do in the first place or not. That would make him a hypocrite. We know the Most High ain't a hypocrite, man.
God.
Right? So like let's keep going, right? Let me go to Isaiah 52 and 13, right? And it says, behold, my servant shall deal prudently. He shall be exalted and extolled and be very high. As many were astonished at thee, his visage was so marred more than any man, and his form more than the sons of men. It says, so shall he sprinkle many nations. The kings shall shut their mouths at him. For that which had not been told them shall they see, and that which had not heard shall they consider. Right? So we got to understand, like, our rulership is going to be synonymous with Yahweh's rulership, right? So the same things that he's going to accomplish, we're going to be right alongside of it and accomplish those with him and be his tools of getting some of that done in the first place, right? And we got to understand that, you know, when we talk about like a verse like that, that's talking about that strange salvation that's in Wisdom of Solomon, right? That, and I'm gonna bring that out too, matter of fact. But you got to ask yourself when we deal with that verse about the strange salvation, right? What's strange about the same thing we've been taught our whole lives? You know, that those certain people are the children of God, and they the rulers, and you could do whatever you want and still get. What's strange about that actually happening? If it happens just like that, what's strange about it? That's what we've been told and taught our whole lives, and that's what we thought would happen anyway. So there's nothing strange about that. But it is something strange about those people whose lives was counted as madness, whose lives was counted as nothing. It is something strange about those people actually being the children of God, and those people actually receiving that salvation that's synonymous with the downfall of their enemy. The same people who laughed at them and called them proverbs and bywords and did everything else to them, right? There is something extremely strange about that. Matter of fact, let me get that real quick too. Let me get that. What is that? Wisdom Solomon? Is that 5? What is that?
Yeah. Wisdom Solomon 5.
Right. Let me get that right quick.
That's at the top.
Okay. But okay, right. This is Wisdom of Solomon. Matter of fact, I'm gonna start at 1. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. And it says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. So again, that's what's strange, right? That same man will get to stand in the face of those who afflicted him, those who kidnapped him, those who raped, robbed, murdered him, brainwashed him, you know, stole his children, you know, kidnapped. I mean, all the atrocities that have been done to us. That's strange to see that man who was treated in those ways have a chance to look his kidnapper in the face and say, "No, we really them niggas." Like that's strange, right? So it says, right? It says, before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they look for. It says, and they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision and a proverb of reproach. Again, that's what's going to be strange, that them same people who have been under your foot will get a chance to have you under theirs. That's what's going to be strange. You know what I mean? And again, this ain't about hate of nothing. This is the way the world has worked. And what people don't understand is this, right? The reason it's not about hate, at least for me, is that it, like, all I tell myself when it comes to all of this is it is what it is. If the Most High had decided that we got another captivity to go through, would I want to deal with it? No. But I'll be saying the same thing. It is what it is. The Most High gonna have His way. Like there's no, like we read a couple weeks ago. There is no point in arguing. There is no argument to be had with the Most High. So all you can do is you know, get out and lay down, as they say, right? So even if it was to go the other way, I would be the same mindset. It is what it is. What is I can do to change the Most High's mind? Not a thing. Especially when we understand this all was decided aforetime, right? Us being where we are, the position that we are in, the position we're gonna end up in, was decided way before we walked this earth. Hold on, buddy. Go tell Monty turn your TV on, okay? Give me 10 minutes, all right? I'm sorry, y'all. When that TV turn off with Spider-Man, it'd be a problem, man. Um, so yeah, and let me keep going, all right? This is verse 4. It says, "We fools accounted his life madness, and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of God, and his lot is among the saints?" Like that's the whole strangeness of the salvation right there. Like, how is these people who we call niggas and spicks and monkeys and apes and anything else that you can call them that we thought would hurt their feelings, how can these same people who we see, yes, kill each other in the streets, disrespect each other, evil eye towards each other, all these things, how can these people be numbered among the saints? How can these people be numbered among the children of the God, of the children of God, right? And his lot is among the saints, right? It says, "Therefore have we erred." And that's what they're going to understand. That's what they're going to realize. We've erred treating these people like that. It's like that famous quote by Robert Kennedy, right? And I'm just paraphrasing it, but he said something to the effect of, what if these people, right? What if these black people are actually God's people? Don't you think when we get a chance to meet God, that God's going to have something to say about the way we treated his chosen people? Like, that's what's going to happen. That's the strangeness of the salvation right there, right? And again, I can't do nothing but praise the Most High for it, and I don't look at the things that's going to happen to the other nations as wrong. How could I?
Yeah.
They no more wrong than things that happen to my people, right? And again, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. It's not about us preaching hate. It's about God's judgment is like a ring, like the Bible says, right? So the same people He used to judge us, they have to be judged for the things that they've done, right? And again, all these things are outside of our control. So there's no point in having my mom used to always say, "I can't stand niggas that throw hissy fits." You know what I'm saying? Like it's no point in throwing a hissy fit about it, bro. It is what it is, right? And that's for every side of it, right?
Right.
Um,
Let me
but
just bring out a point, because what you're saying is a great point. It's a group of people who not the whole world is not looking for, right? So, like when you deal, I'm gonna go to Ezekiel 37. When you deal with Ezekiel 37, it's dealing with the valley of dry bones,
absolutely, come.
which shows you it's a group of people who are destituted, who the world is not looking to be actual children of God, right?
Right.
So I'm gonna read this part, right? This is Ezekiel 37, and I'm gonna just get context, right? And I'm gonna start at verse 1.
Bet.
The hand of the Lord was upon me and carried me out in the spirit of the Lord and set me down in the midst of the valley, which was full of bones,
Come.
and caused me to pass by them round about. And behold, there were very many in an open valley, and lo, they were dry. So it's the valley of dry bones, right? So just to get to the point, right? Verse 11, Ezekiel 37 and 11. Then
Mhm.
said he unto me, Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel.
Come.
Behold, they say, Our bones are dry, and our hope is lost, and we are cut off from our parts. So it's a group of people who are destituted, who are in a downtrodden state that
Come.
needs this salvation. That's why
Come.
when you go to the Wisdom of Solomon 5, it's a group of people who you never even thought that would get this salvation.
Come. Come. And
So,
go ahead. You want to
no,
finish
go
that up?
ahead.
Right. I want to bring this out too, because one of my favorite verses too, man. Because it just sums us up. Like, we think that we everybody, and again, it's not just the other nations who counter our lives as madness and as nothing. A lot of times we do the same thing. I remember having a conversation with a female when I first got in the truth. I'm showing her scripture out of scripture to say we the Israelites, and she literally said to me, "Brian, stop lying." I'm like, I'm showing you verse after verse after. She's like, we ain't the Israelite, we ain't the Jew. I'm like, what? Like, you know what I'm saying? It just shows that cognitive dissonance ain't always just on the other side. Sometimes we got that too. I showed her verse after verse after verse. I'm telling we going back and forth for hours. And when we was all said and done, all she could say is just stop lying. Like, I'm like, so you think I'm sitting here just, you know what I'm saying? But it just goes to show how we the same way, right?
I got one more precept, right?
Yeah.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 9, and I'm gonna read it in the ESV. For the creation awaits with eager longing to reveal the sons of God, right? Let me get a better version, but because basically it's saying all creation is waiting on the real sons of God to be revealed, right?
Absolutely, right. Come on. Yeah. There's a better translation of that for sure. No, yeah, definitely. But that the point
I'm
in
gonna
that
read it,
is
I'm gonna read it right now, right?
right.
This is Romans 8 and 19 out of CSB. For the creation eagerly awaits with anticipation for God's sons to be revealed,
Crazy.
which shows
Oh,
you God's sons ain't revealed yet.
yeah, right. The whole world awaits. It says creation, right?
Yeah,
Everybody's waiting on this. So we can't even necessarily just be mad at our own people for not understanding who they are. The whole world is waiting for this to be revealed as a matter of fact, not on speculation, not on, they believe this, they believe that. As a matter of fact, we want to be shown who these people always were and who they are, right? This Isaiah 1 and 3 too, right? This is always a good one at camp too, right? It says, the ox knoweth his owner, and the ass his master's crib, but Israel doth not know. My people doth not consider. So it's saying once again, like we think we everything except a child of God. And we've been called everything but a child of God.
man.
That's where that little saying comes from. But it's at the same time, in our own mind, we have a hard time convincing our own people that this is who y'all really are.
Right?
But that means that the rulership over us did a bang up job. You know what I mean? They did their job masterfully. You know what I'm saying? Got to give them a hand for that, because they did their thing when it came to that, right? Let me see. Let me go to
I got a precept too.
all right, bet.
Because like it's gonna come a point in time where is no district, like you can't dispute who is the actual children of God, right?
Right.
So this is Isaiah 60 and 14, right? And it says, the sons also of them that afflicted thee shall come bending unto thee, and all that despise thee shall bow themselves down at the soles of thy feet, and they shall call thee the city of the Lord, the Zion of the Holy One of Israel. It's gonna come
Right.
a point in time where everybody know we're the Israelites.
Facts, bro. Facts. You know what I'm saying? And listen, this is why we talk about hastening the day, because we want that to happen sooner than later. I'm tired of seeing my own people in the state that we in. Like I said, I travel the country, I done travel the world, bro. And it's so disheartening to see that no matter where you go, we in the same spot, man. We in the same spot. And I've seen it all around the world, man. But again, right, those same people whose lives that you counted as nothing, as madness, when you see that they are the actual children of God, whose salvation is synonymous with the downfall and the destruction of those who oppressed, raped, robbed, murdered, lied, plotted against. When you look at all these verses that we brought out, it just shows you that our salvation, number one, is synonymous with their downfall. But at the same time, we got to understand that we play a role in our salvation as well. And this is why I say every week, it always comes back to the law. If we can't take responsibility for the position we in, of course the white man had to do with it, something to do with it. Of course the other nation in general has something to do with it. But if we don't understand that the reason we here is because we disobeyed our own God, who only belongs to us and we only belong to him, then we're going to stay in this position a lot longer. You know what I'm saying? It's going to feel like we got another captivity if we don't understand and come back to the law, statutes, and commandments, increase the faith, and understand this is what we need to receive that salvation that's synonymous with our enemy's downfall, right?
Yeah.
Let me see.
I got a precept that
I
proves
bet.
that. All right. Our salvation is synonymous with their downfall, right? This is Exodus 14 and 13, right? And it says, and Moses said unto the people, fear ye not, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, which he will give, which he will show you, which he will show to you today. For the Egyptians whom ye have seen today, ye shall see them again no more forever. And the Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace.
Like, man, come on. It don't get no better than that, bro.
So Moses is telling the Israelites, your salvation comes with you never seeing this group ever again.
Man, come on. And it's crazy. Like, again, I don't understand why us speaking about things like this ruffles so many feathers. When you read the Bible, it don't ruffle your feathers that the destruction of the Egyptians had to happen, right? It don't ruffle your feathers when we understand that to get out of each captivity, things had to happen. that coincided with each of those, from the Assyrians to the Babylonians to the Persians and Medes to the Greeks. Things had to happen for them to fall, for us to be released, even if it was only released for what felt like a second before we was back in another captivity. But the bottom line is, there's no difference in this second Exodus that's going to happen. Like, it shouldn't ruffle anybody's feathers, because we understand, number one, it's happened before. And again, the whole Bible is cyclical, which means most of this stuff will happen again. And it's the same when it comes to our salvation, right? We have to be saved out of the hand of the people who won't let us go. Like I said, I travel the world. I can't go nowhere without a passport. And really, because I travel, and I've traveled so often, I can't get into most countries without even having a work visa. Like, they only want to believe I'm coming to visit because they know I've been there so many times to work. So I got to have a passport and a work visa, right? Which means you can't just get up and leave because you tired of America. It don't work like that, man. But go ahead. You had some?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay. So again, I done drilled that point in the head, but I just want people to understand, all Israelites is not angry at nobody, bro. We and a lot of us do take full responsibility for where we at, but we just understand that the same way we've had to take responsibility for where we at, the other nations are gonna have to take the same responsibility for where they gonna end up. It's the same thing, you know what I'm saying? And I see somebody said, "Oh wow, Zamyar left Sakari." I didn't make a video about that because I really don't even want to address it. So I'm not going to be like, oh, here goes the video, but I ain't going to tell y'all why. What I will say is this, though. Man. Man, them guys is my brothers. And there really was, like I've heard my brother, there was no issue with doctrine. It wasn't like somebody sinned against somebody. I think that one thing Chief said at the top of the year, at the top of the new year, was that it was going to be some new beginnings, right? And to me, I see that as new opportunities, right? Every opportunity doesn't have to come through strife, right? It's not about strife. I talked to Chief literally yesterday and today and the day before. Like, that's my brother, just the way the Bach is my brother. Like, that's my nigga, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's nothing like that. Like, I hate that people even get in that kind of thing in their head. Like, I don't have no issue with nobody, including Chief, including Deacon. I talked to Side 3 or 4 days ago. I talked to Deacon just like it ain't like that. I hate that people want to spin that kind of a narrative, because it ain't like that. People who know me well know I don't do negativity, man. And it ain't no different with this. You know what I'm saying? So, like I said, all love to them brothers. I'm going to see Chief probably tonight when I'm done with this, right? To be honest with y'all. So, major love to them brothers, man. But let's go ahead.
I wasn't going to even address it, brother. That's what I'm saying.
I looked up. I wasn't even looking up much. I looked up, saw the comment. I was like, Lord, here we go. So let me just say.
Oh my God. we're all good. Y'all got to chill out.
Yeah, we good, man. Trust me, man. Them my brothers, man. All right, but let's keep going with the lesson, though. This Isaiah 60:1 in the GNT, right? Because we bring out Isaiah a lot because it says a lot, but I want to bring this in the GNT because I think sometimes, again, one thing about other translations, when you've heard it in the KJV so much, it makes it even more clear, right? So this is Isaiah 60:1 in the GNT, and it says, "Arise, Jerusalem, and shine like the sun. The glory of the Lord is shining on you." It says, "Other nations will be covered by darkness, but on you the light of the Lord will shine. The brightness of his presence will be with you." All right, so same thing. It says, when these other nations are in darkness, the light, that light that we're going to be to them one day, they can't get it without going through us. We have to be that light to them at a certain point. The time is not yet, but at a certain point, they cannot get it without getting it through us, right? You know what I mean? So even that is, if you ask me, it's fair. Why? How could it not be fair, right? But again, so it says, the brightness of his presence will be with you. It says, nations will be drawn to your light, and kings to the dawning of your new day, right? It says, look around you and see what is happening. Your people are gathering to come home. Your sons will come from far away. Your daughters will be carried like children. You will see this and be filled with joy. You will tremble with excitement. The wealth of the nations will be brought to you. From across the sea, the riches will come. So again, like, we got to understand, when we saying that our salvation is synonymous with theirs, it's because look at that list, that laundry list right there in those 3-4 verses, right? They cannot happen if other if other nations are not brought to a certain point, I don't even want to say to their knees, but that's basically what it's going to be. But unless they're brought to a lower state, things like other nations bringing you their wealth from across the seas, it ain't going to happen without them being brought to a lower estate. It ain't going to happen without them being knocked out of the position that they in, without that pride being stripped from them. It can't happen no other way, right?
I got a precept.
Good, but
This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 8, verse 23. Thus said the Lord of hosts, in those days it shall come to pass that 10 men shall take hold out of all language of the nations, even shall take hold of the skirt of him that is a Jew, saying, we will go with you, for we have heard God is with you.
I mean, again, that's that light right there, right? They're gonna be grabbing skirt of him that's the Jew because they know they can't receive that light no other way. It ain't set up for it to go directly to them. Right? It's the way the Most High set it up, that because of all the things you've done to them, these same people who you got that perpetual hatred for, you're gonna have to come to through them to even get any kind of piece of me. And if you think about that, like that's almost poetic, bro. I'm sorry, like these same people who you hated their guts and you hated the air that they breathed and you hated their overall existence. You ain't gonna be able to get to me at all without coming through them. Like it's only right if you ask me, right? But again, I think if I'm the other nation, I would get to a place where I ain't got a problem with it. Long as it means I can be a part of what the Most High has set up. Hey, whatever I got to do, they had to do what they had to do. Whatever I got to do to get to a point where I can take part of what the Most High has set up and some of that peace on earth that will happen eventually, I would be willing to do it. And that's how you other nations, I think that's how you got to look at it. And if you look at it that way, then it's not as drab and dreary as it seems. It is what it is. Why I said week after week, it is what it is. It ain't nothing to bitch and moan about, bro. It's gonna happen. So it is what it is. You might as well embrace it. You know what I mean? This is Luke 1:67, right? Because I think again, we confuse that synonymous salvation, as far as that salvation being synonymous with their downfall. We confuse that. We confuse the gospel. We try to make it applicable to any and everybody on the earth who just says they believe, right? But we know it's more to it than that. Because again, that would make the Most High a hypocrite. If the Most High said that you got to do A, B, C, and D and have faith, and that's the only way you're going to get into the kingdom, and then he come back and say, no, you just got to have faith, that would make him a liar and a hypocrite. It just don't make no sense. And really, if I was one of the people who believe that, that's what I would check in myself. How am I going to make the Most High out to be a liar and a hypocrite? You know, almost a schizophrenic. Why would he say this one day and then come back and say, no, don't worry about that? This is the same entity, the same deity that decided all this from aforetime. Why would he have to come back and say, nah, it's cool. Y'all just do D. Don't worry about A, B, and C, and I'll still give y'all what y'all want. It don't work like that, bro. It just don't work like that, right? So again, I think the gospel speaks about the salvation and who is that spoken to, right? The meek, right? The poor, right? We got to understand that that's what the gospel is. The same thing that Christ said out of his mouth, that's the gospel, right? So I want to read it real quick. Luke 1:67, right? And it says, and his father Zacharias was filled with the Holy Ghost and prophesied, saying, blessed be the Lord God of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, right? So again, plain and simple, right? This is what salvation is. This is what the gospel is. It's all about, and it's funny because even when you look at 72, I want to go to that too, but verse 72 speaks about those precious promises. This is who the gospel belongs to. This is who salvation belongs to. Those precious promises that the glorification, the justification, the servant. It all belongs to the same people. It makes no sense, and that's why I can't stand when people just cut out the Old Testament. Because if you read all these things in the Old Testament, then the New Testament will make perfect sense. They're like y'all, it's like y'all really cutting off y'all hand, what's the saying? Your hand, what despite your foot, whatever it
Cut
is.
your nose despite your
Because you
face.
know it's like your face, right? Like it's like you really doing that because you 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 take away the main tool that would make the New Testament make perfect sense to you. That's the Old Testament. And that's like we say all the time, that's any book. I don't care if you read a book about Michael Jordan, right? You ain't gonna know exactly who that is if you don't start with that same dude who got cut his sophomore year from the high school basketball team.
Nah, they start Michael Jordan when he already got 6 rings. He ain't
You
go
know what
through
I'm
no
saying? You're not gonna understand exactly who that dude is and how he got there and why he was so driven and all those things. You gotta understand any book from beginning to end. You can't start at the end and think you're gonna have some kind of an adequate understanding. It just don't work like that. Some things is just practical, and in the realm of practicality, nothing works like that, right? I can't jump. It's like me and my brother. We play 2K, right? You know, it's one more month to the new season. A game of 2K comes out, right? But you can't start playing in August and the new game come out in September and think you're gonna jump on for the first time in August and beat everybody on there. No, you're gonna get your ass whooped. And the same thing happens with this Bible in a sense where you're going against people who take this whole book as important from beginning to end, and then you only value one piece of it, and you think somehow you can battle with those people who study this whole thing day in and day out. It don't work like that, bro.
Well,
Right?
that's the reason why a lot of them don't want to talk to us because they know they don't study the Bible like we study it.
Right. I'm
They
talking about
run.
day in and day out, man. Mm. So, all right, mother. All right, I guess that's my Hassad and Deacon rant right there. But let me
No, it's all good, man. Go ahead and get into it. Go
let me
into it.
keep.
We got Mike from the fourth tribe. That's what's up, brother. I'm from the fourth tribe, man. I know we missed a lot of super chats, man. The water, but this brother put a scripture with his Genesis 12:3. I will bless those who bless you, but I will
Con,
curse those who curse you.
con,
Then he precepted with First Maccabees 2:10. Every nation in the world has occupied the city and robbed her of her possessions. That's
con,
right. So
con.
they cursed.
I
You're
mean,
right.
come on. That brother get it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny because, and that's what I love about our chat. And just, when I get on Israelite channels in general, is that you talking about teachers with so much knowledge, but the people who tune into these channels, they not no idiots. They got a bunch of knowledge too, right? Some of y'all can stand to learn a lot from just the comments that brothers type in here, man. Like, for real. That's a perfect thing, perfect verse right there, right? As far as what we talking about, for real. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Let me go to verse 72 in Luke 1 though, right? It says to perform the mercy promise, right? Those same precious promises talked about in Peter 1 and 2 Peter 1 and 4, those same promises talked about in Romans 9, it says right here, right? To perform the mercy promise to our fathers and to remember his holy covenant. That word to me, those two words to me get overlooked a lot, right? His holy covenant, right? That means what? A separate covenant given to a people who was what? Separated from the rest of the nations.
Huh.
Right? So it can't belong to everybody and be separate at the same time. Separate and everybody don't go together. Like people act like, again, when it comes to some of these things, I almost feel like I don't have a dog in the fight. Because either way the Most High said for it to go, I would have been cool with it. So in a sense, I don't have a dog in the fight. But it says what it says, that this was a separate covenant, right? A holy covenant given to a people who have been severed, who have been made to be separate from the rest of the nations, right? It just is what it is, right? Verse 73, it says, the oath which he swore to our father Abraham, not that Abraham is not the father of people who are not Hebrew Israelites. Absolutely, he is. But in this context, it's talking about us, right? Those same people who were separated from the rest of the nations, right? It says, the oath which he swore to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, might serve him without fear, right? And I kind of want to wrap. I got some more, but you know me, I get to that point. I feel like I'm just rambling on. But like, I just think it's a perfect way to sum it up. It says that he would grant unto us that we, being delivered out of the hands of our enemies might serve him without fear. And again, we got to understand that deliverance will not come just by them deciding one day, hey, we're gonna let you go. That salvation won't come the same way. It's going to take some things the Most High has to set into motion that have to happen. That's going to force their hand. Because let's be real, if he didn't have to force their hand, then you could have been let us go. You could have been rectified these situations. But your pride, number one, won't allow you to do it. And number two, this is just how the Most High set it up. He's going to force your hand at some point, right? And that is what's going to get us salvation, that deliverance out of the hand of our enemies, that we might what? That we might serve him without fear. And that's what the kingdom is going to be. We're still going to be serving the Most High, but we're going to be serving him without fear. And we're going to be serving him with the full knowledge that we are his chosen people. Like he said, that same thing that the whole world is waiting to be revealed. That's how we're going to serve him without fear, right? And with that, if you got some more stuff, I could go into some more stuff, but we had an hour and something. We try to keep it nice and tight on here. So
yeah. Only thing I'm gonna say, we back at it with the Tuesday class, so y'all just look out for it. And also, we're back at it with the Saturday class. I didn't do it this Saturday because we had a new moon. We had to make sure we get the camp in and then also get the actual new moon. But this Saturday, we back at it, man. So Thursday classes, we back at it. Saturday, we back at it. And also, man, we'll probably fit another class in there sometime through the week, too. So,
and one thing I want to touch on, too, Ak, is I had a few people asking me about the new moon. So, and I was telling Debak, since we starting a new leaf in a sense, because there wasn't nothing wrong with where we came from. Don't get that twisted. Nothing wrong with the doctrine. Nothing wrong with the things that was taught at Sakari. Sakari is still my favorite camp. I don't care what nobody say, right?
Hey, well, they might do a skit about that, bro.
You know what I'm saying? Hey, my favorite camp. Skip me up, whatever. You know what I mean? I ain't afraid, right? But one thing I'm gonna say is, since we started something new, there's some of the lessons that we almost take for granted because we've been. We've known them for so long and we've done them so many times and we've heard them so many times and heard them taught so many times, like the new moon and how you determine the Sabbath and different. We're gonna do some of those in the next few weeks to just tighten people back up on how these things all fit together. You know what I
mean? Kind. Yeah, we're gonna go into them.
Right.
I guess I give 2 minutes. 2 minutes for questions, man. If you got any questions, not about other stuff, simply on the lesson. You got questions about the lesson, go ahead and put it in. Well, put it in the chat.
Kodash.
I know. Oh, you see it?
Shout out Kodash, Nagap.
Shout out King. King was in the chat too.
You know what I mean?
So, y'all got like less than 2 minutes, man. We finna go pull up on Gorilla Hebrew.
You know what I mean?
I already know, man. Pause. I get it, Kodash. I got it. I get it.
That's the pause king.
As soon as I said it, I wasn't gonna say it, but I meant it's like, God dang. I got less than a minute. Man, I knew he was gonna do that too, bro. That's cold. You have to do it in the chat. Usually he'll text it to me. Can you cook on the Shabbat? No, you can't cook on the Shabbat. You cook before the Shabbat.
No. Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. See, we're gonna go into all those things next few weeks. How you actually observe the Shabbat. How you determine the Shabbat. Just different things like that, which I think sometimes because we've been doing it for so long, we do kind of take for granted that people just know it. But we're gonna go into a lot more of that stuff again.
Yeah, you cook before the Shabbat.
That day of preparation.
Yeah, the day of prep. I know, I know, Kodash. I get it.
The nigga got the pause emoji.
I know. That man, wow, bro. Oh, man, I appreciate that. Nefta Kingdom. He said, it's always a pleasure listening to you, brothers. All praises.
Man, all praises, for real. The water.
He said, can I get another brother, Mike from the 4th tribe, can I get my ears pierced again?
You sure
just need a reminder. Yeah.
These was our customs,
Oh, man. Shalom, Princess Erica. You ain't got to put my government in the chat like that. Good Lord.
Shalom. I see it. Yeah, I see it.
Good Lord. It's all good. It is all good.
I want to thank my wife too for setting me up over here because I be lost when it's computer shit.
Yeah, man. Yeah, y'all gotta forgive us the first 10 minutes, man. We was trying to figure these things out. It's
Yeah,
okay.
man.
I'm even looking at mine. I say, damn, that nigga over there lighted this.
Yeah, look.
That's all I got that light. I'm over here.
I'm a pro with the iPad and all that. Man, when it comes to computer, I just tried to avoid it for so long that sometimes I just be feeling lost. But I'm gonna get tight with it though, man.
Yeah. Man, they ain't talking about nothing. And with that, I want to give all honor and glory to Yahweh Shema Mashiach Yahweh Shai. Shalom, people.
Shalom.